Come here over me because you see me just turn this thing on. Okay, people of God, listen. Yes, I just took a shower. Guess what? I didn't realize it was so late in the day. I need to put some lotion on my face. Let me get some lotion put on my face. I ain't lotion my face after I take a shower. Wait a minute, let me pause this. I'll be right back. All right, I got some of that good lavender lotion my mama bought me. Some good little lotion she be buying. No, but I did not realize it was getting this late in the Sabbath day. You know why? I was enjoying myself in the Lord. And them videos y'all saw me post earlier, I was still right in that bed in that same spot talking to the Lord. And then a neighbor called. And no, I wasn't depressed. Let me tell you something. Sometimes when you feel the joy of the Lord, it's indescribable. But those who know what I'm talking about, when the presence of the Lord is, he's always with us. But when he just giving you downloads and you know he pulled himself away from you for a while and had you figuring things out because while he was growing things in you, so he couldn't really speak directly to you like normal. He had to let the gifts keep growing. You don't like that. You don't like feeling his absence. So when you get him, you got him, baby. You hold on to him. And so that's how I was with my father in that bed. So it wasn't no depression or none of that. So, and I don't take time off. I'm not a lazy person, but I got to enjoy my Sabbath day. And then now that my miracle aunt, she resting with him, she in peace. So I ain't really got no place to go. I don't have no friends, so I don't go any place. I just enjoy the spirits, joy, wisdom, peace, and in the word. And so anyway, then my neighbor called me and he wants me to come over there. Him and his wife, they want to take a look at my small little work van and stuff like that. He was telling me he did research and different little things like that. And then I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to be around no people. I don't listen, y'all. Sometimes I like being with God, and I don't really want to be around nobody. It's not that I think I all that or none of that. I'm just in a little zone with God. When you get so used to him, you get kind of scared to go around what type of energy you're gonna go. Even though he's a nice guy, he love animals. He got a good energy. A dog, and he love dogs and stuff like that. He keeps dogs for different people in the community. But still, I'm in a good little vibing place. And this my little Sabbath day. I appreciate this day where I ain't got to do nothing. I ain't used to always take the Sabbath now, but when I start being obedient, I realized how much this thing was benefiting me. So I don't focus on literally no work. Nobody can get me to focus on no work or no none of that. I take that Sabbath. It's for man. The Sabbath was made for man, not for the Sabbath. So doing anything for the Lord or the kingdom, that ain't really work to me. I don't consider that work. And y'all, let me give another shot. I got on my shirt again today, coming from my big sister, Sister C Mac. My haters thought they buried me, but they didn't know that I was a seed, baby. Seeds grow in dirt. And oh, glory. Thank you for my shirt, sister. And she gave me some other gifts. I showed y'all the little mugs and stuff. If you want any of those things, you can order some of her books on Amazon. You can go to her website, CM Ministries. These positive writings and things like that. These are just positive affirmations, and it's really true. Think about what you've been through, chosen ones. She got a lot of product for the chosen ones, and you can go order her stuff. Like I say, cmministries.com. But anyway, so when you're spending time in the presence of the Lord, sometimes you don't want to interrupt that. But check this out though. When he called me, and he was telling me they wanted to check out this little work van or whatever I got. They did research. I guess they want one and some things they were looking at. He mentioned he does beekeeping. So I'm like, okay, well, we can barter the information. I'm like, wow. So I said, well, then now you just inspired me, because that was one of my next goals, wanting to get into beekeeping, because my big brother, shout out to my big brother, Led Farmer 73, South Carolina, baby, representing. But I saw what you had about beekeeping, and you starting a course. So that was going to be my goal, to sign up for that course. And I'm still going to be I still got your information. I just have to with everything going on in my life, me being doing everything myself or whatever, all the things I got, I just have to make time. So what sparked me, being that this brother want to see my thing, my van, my work van, and he got beekeeping, he and his wife, he gave me the information or whatever, and they want to talk to me so they can show me the foundations of it. And he says he keeps his stuff right on the front porch. He was start explaining to me over the phone. You could tell he's so excited about what he's doing. It got me excited, so much excited. So after I got the phone, it motivated me to go ahead and roll on up and get my little shower in and slip on something. But the Spirit of the Lord said, you can't leave this house until you get back and read Jasher to my people. So I said, oh, yeah. He's the Spirit of the Lord said, see, that way when you get out, if you take longer and come back, you won't try to rush and put the stuff together, even if you be sleepy, because I'm an early person, guys. I don't stay awake late unless I'm spending time with the Lord. And then you already know I don't be on that phone with no man when that sun go down. When that sun go down, the freaks come out at night. So I don't really have no conversations in the nighttime, unless somebody really call me and they need me to touch and agree with them in prayer. I'm always be ready to be suited up and booted up for that, baby. I'm always gonna be a soldier, ready to stand in prayer. Always be ready. So anyway, so yeah, with all of that being said, let me get to Jasher, and then I'm just going to read this. This is coming from the Sefer with all the deleted books in it, and going back to what I was told y'all this morning that I was going to share what God gave me last night, said that they saw our star. They saw our star from the time we came out of the womb. And that is why the kingdom of darkness has tried so hard to hinder, block, and stop us, because they knew our purpose, right? And my other sister over here, my other big sister, she said when they see that sometimes your purpose is bigger than theirs, they don't want you to know that, and they don't know how much you know. And I guess that all ties into that gaslighting stuff too, as you continue to grow and you break away from narcissism and stuff like that, and make sure you get God cleanses you of all the characteristics, traits, and different things. That's a spirit tied to the Jezebel spirit. Remember, I did that some videos ago. But these things can be broken. And when somebody don't want you to see your light and see your purpose, they try to destroy that. Okay, so you grew up like we grew up like our father Abraham. His Hebrew name is Abram, right? So what they did was they tried to destroy Abram's star, the light workers, the sages, all of that. So I'm just going to read it, okay? And I'm going to read it I'm going to read it, not add to, not take away, explain what I'm able to remember. I'm still studying these lost books, right? But I'm going to read it when Abraham was born. It's going to be a few chapters, but I'm going to get it all out. And I'm on the, this was after the flood. Okay, this was after God destroyed the flood with Noah and Noah's sons. They started rebuilding and stuff like that. And Nimrod, Noah's grandson, was the king. Okay, so I just gave you that backdrop going from chapter 7. If you get the book of Jasher, I don't know how it will be separate, but I know in the Sefer Bible, the law, basically, it's I'm just reading it in how it has it. And the reason I said that, because I know in the book of Enoch, in the Sefer, it doesn't I don't have the other book, but I showed you guys, it doesn't go into all the chapters, because the Enoch has 3 different series, 3 different parts. And that one book I have has all of that in there. So when I was reading it in here, I saw only one series was in there. So this is my first time getting into these books, the Jubilees, the Jashers, all of that. And they complement the Bible. They add, they expound on it. So you need all the books. You need the King James Version Bible or whatever, that, and then the version that you can help yourself understand. But listen, let me tell you something. It's a Bible called the Companion Bible. My supervisor, one of my sergeants, told me this back in 2010. He put me onto this. It has 198 appendix. Do you people know that they tried to stop this Bible from being printed, because it in that appendix, oh baby, it come with a lot of tongues and a lot of different things, explaining the languages and stuff like that, explaining the who the enemy really is, and different paperwork and artifacts and different things in the appendix. they tried to stop it from being printed, right? The darkness always got to try to contaminate the light, right? So that is why it's so important to get the knowledge. My people perish for lack of knowledge. So it's called the Companion Bible. I think it's by Creakle. I got mine. And but if you can find that, not just the Companion Bible now, the one with 198 appendix. And then so you get that Bible, and then there's something called the Strong's Concordance. Get you one of that too, so you can break down some of these words and try to take it back to its original form. You get the right interpretation. And then it's a Sefer Bible. Okay, this is pretty pricey, so if you don't have to have this Bible, but you can see if you can you may be able, I don't know, you may be able to order some of these lost books out of it. Okay, but anyway, let me get to reading this. Just about Moses and Abram. And the word from last night was, they saw your star. They knew your star, right? So what he went through, just trying to process it. And I'm going to take my time and read this as best I can from chapter 8 all the way over to chapter 13. It's a lot, so just bear with me, and let me go ahead and read this before this thing try to time me out with the camera. We at 11 minutes right now, so I'm gonna read this, and then it's on video, it's recorded, so if you have to go back to anything, and if you have any questions, we can get back involved in this or whatever. But I'm still studying this book as well. Okay. So chapter 8. All right, this is when Terah was Abram's father. Now, for those of you who have the regular Bible, the King James Version Bible, you're going to know when you read that what happened with Abram. Some of this stuff I'm going over, it ain't all in that Bible. So this, like I say, it expounds, it complements the Bible, the original King James that we were all given when we were going to the churches and stuff like that. But this complements more and goes in more detail to tell you how Abram heart was with the Father ever since I think he was 3 years old. But we're going to go over chapter 8. And it was in the night that Abram was born, that all the servants of Terah, Abram's father, and all the wise men of Nimrod, the king, he was anointed king at the time, and his conjurers came and ate and drank in the house of Terah, and they rejoiced with him on that night. And when all the wise men and conjurers went out from the house of Terah, see, our ancestors had conjurers and stuff like that. And then all the wise men went out from the house of Terah, they lifted up their eyes toward heaven that night to look at the stars. And they saw, and behold, one very large star came from the east and ran in the heavens. And he swallowed up the 4 stars from the 4 sides of the heavens. See, that large star that ran from the east was Abram's star, but he was just a baby. He'd been born that night. See, they saw his star. That's the same thing with you, chosen one. They saw your star. They ain't told you. All right, listen. And all the wise men of the king and his conjurers were astonished at the sight, and the sages understood this matter, and they knew its import. And they said to each other, this only betokens the child that has been born to Terah this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply. See, they knew his star was so big they could read it, the conjurers. See, he will be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth, he and his children forever. He and his seed will slay great kings and inherit their lands. Okay, that's that at the end of verse 4. Listen, 8 chapter 4. So see, you see, they knew his star, they knew his purpose, they knew his destiny, they knew what his seed would do. Go back to, was it Deuteronomy, when God told Abraham, your seed will be enslaved for 400 years. See, because your seed will, that's what coming back to my spirit, your seed will be enslaved 400 years in a land, they will be separate in a land. But listen, he said, I will make you multiply your seed as far as a sand. You know, when you pick up sand at the beach, and I love water, by the way. When you pick up sand at the beach, you see them little tiny grain and all of that. God told Abram he will multiply his seed as the stars in the sky. We don't hardly see a lot of stars fill the sky at night now, do you? Remember when we were younger growing up, you could have seen so much stars in the sky. You wonder why we don't see as much. But listen, he told Abram he will make his seed multiply like that. So see, Some of us are the seed of Abraham. Everybody, this message ain't for everybody, okay? But listen, you know you chosen ones. Some of us are the seed of Abraham. And they knew that. They knew the star. God gonna keep his covenant now, even though Abram done gone back to the Father. And God took him. God favored him. In spite of his flaws, in spite of that anger issue he had. See, nobody don't know where he was buried at in it. But anyway, going to verse 5. And the wise men and conjurers went home that night, and in the morning all these wise men and conjurers rose up early and assembled in an appointed house. And they spoke and said to each other, Behold, the sight that we saw last night is hidden from the king. It has not been made known to him. And should this thing get known to the king in the latter days, he will say to us, Why have you concealed this matter from me? And then we shall all suffer death. Therefore now let us go and tell the king the sight which we saw and the interpretation thereof, and we shall then remain clear. So they went told the king. All right, I'm gonna see if I can start skipping down some of this so I can make time with this thing. All right, so when they went and they told the king or whatever, they said, they went to the king, bowed down to him in the ground, and they said, May the king live, may the king live. And they heard that we heard the son was born to Terah, whatever. When your servants went out, verse 10, from the house of Terah to go to our respective homes, to abide there for the night, we lifted up our eyes to heaven, and we saw a great star coming from the east, and the same star ran with a great speed and swallowed up 4 great stars. Talking about Moses' star swallowing up their great star, swallowed up 4 great stars. So see, their stars was already great. Their purpose was already great, or whatever they was doing. You see what I'm saying? But Abram's star, his purpose was bigger and greater, and it overrided their purpose. And they didn't want to, what I'm feeling in my spirit, they didn't want to make obeisance to him. So they figured get rid of him before he come and rule over them. See what I'm saying? Because that it was his destiny to rule over them. But they wanted to stop his destiny because they wanted their stars to stay where they at. Can't do that, people of God. Let everybody take their rightful position, right? When you see somebody come along, they got something greater than what you got. You can't put a name on it. Fall back sometime. Just chill. Do your thing and watch what God doing. Let God take the reign. But anyway, so where did I stop at, guys? Coming from the east, and they just swallowed up the 4 great stars from the 4 sides of the heaven. Verse 11. And your servants were astonished at the sight which we saw, and were greatly terrified. And we made our judgment upon the sight, and knew by our wisdom the proper interpretation thereof, that this thing applies to the child. To the child, he was a child, that is born to Terah, who will grow up and multiply greatly and become powerful and kill all the kings of the earth and inherit all their lands, he and his seed forever. And now our Adonai and King, behold, we have truly acquainted you with what we have been seen concerning this child. If it seems good to the king to give his father value for this child, we will slay him before he shall grow up and increase in the land, and his evil increase against us, that we and our children shall perish through his evil. See, they calling him evil, but yet they the ones who the soothsayers, the conjurers, they the ones that's evil. See, they want to kill him. They want to stop his destiny, but they calling this child, innocent child, evil now. See what I'm saying? Because they don't want him to grow up and stop what they're doing. They don't want him to grow up and break the generational curse. They don't want him to grow up and break the dysfunction that they're in. So they calling them evil. Y'all paying attention? Is y'all paying attention? I hope you get it now. You can rewind it. I hope you get it. I'm just reading it. Verse 14. And the king heard their words, and they seemed good in his sight. I'm going to have to do more than one take. So I'm going to do part of this tonight, and maybe later tonight, or maybe tomorrow, because I ain't going to rush all this. I'm going to read every word. And the king heard their words, and they seemed good in his sight. And he sent and called for Terah, and Terah came before the king. And the king said to Terah, I have been told that a son was yesternight born to you, and after Terah is Abraham's father now, and after this manner was observed in the heavens at his birth. And now, therefore, give me the child, that we may slay him before his evil springs up against us, and I will give you for his value your house full of silver and gold. He want to buy Abraham. Now see, at this point, because Terah just had his little boy, excuse me, because Terah just had his little boy, he had loved him. See, his heart was with him, so he had more compassion for Abram, because Abram was innocent. He just had him. He just had his child. So listen what Terach gonna tell him now. Terach, the king had placed. Let me go back to chapter 7 and show y'all what Terach, he was in a position for Nimrod. So this, I'm gonna go back to verse 7 to show you something what Terach's position was with the king. Verse 7, when Nimrod became king, verse 7, chapter 40. And he set over his subjects and people, princes and judges and rulers, as is the custom amongst the kings. And he placed Terach, the son of Nachor, the prince of his host, and he dignified him and elevated him above all his princes. And so he placed him, Terach, the prince of his host. So Terach had a good position basically with the king. That's what I want y'all to know. So he gave, so basically now you know the king Nimrod had given Terach things for what I'm about to read to you in these next verses so you understand. But if you get the book of Jasher, you can read it all together. Read it in chapter by chapter, scripture by scripture. Read it all in context. But see, because you there, some of you might not have it. I'm just trying to catch you up with what I'm about to, so you can understand Terach's position with Nimrod. So now he's about to respond to Terach after Terach told him he'll give him money for Abraham so he can kill Abraham because his purpose is too big and they don't want him to grow up and fulfill that destiny, fulfill his purpose. So verse 17. And Terach answered, chapter 8, verse 17. And Terach answered the king and said to him, my Adonai mean Lord, my Lord and King, I have heard your words, and your servant shall do all that his king desires. But my Adonai mean Lord, but my Adonai and King, I will tell you what happened to me yesternight, meaning last night, that I may see what advice the king will give his servant. He lying now. He about to put a scenario together. Y'all know how we do when somebody come to you with something and you put a little scenario together so you can be like, oh, you want me to give you that? Okay, but let me tell you this right here. And you really trying to be sarcastic and let them see what they asking you to let them, you asking me something that's full of BS, right? But then let me tell you this right here. What you think about this? You put a scenario together to let them see that you know that you own to them, and they gonna be like, well, that full of BS. Well, what you said full of BS too. Instead of you just go ahead and be straight up with them. This how people now. This how people. Instead of he just say, man, you fool, asking me that. But see, he wanted to get the king, provoke thought in the king's mind because he knew the king had an upper rank and above him. The king could do what he wanted to do with him, right? So these are our people. He wanted to provoke thought with his sarcastic verbatim. So look how he about to come back and ask him about this horse. So check this out now. That's why I say I got to take my time with this. These are our people, man. Listen. So, verse 18. He said, but my Adonai and King, I will tell you what happened to me last night, that I may see what advice the king will give his servant. And then I will answer the king upon what he has just spoken. And the king said, speak. Verse 19. And Terach said to the king, Aon, son of Mored, came to me yesternight, saying, give unto me the great and beautiful horse that the king gave you, and I will give you silver and gold, and straw and provender for its value. And I said to him, wait till I see the king concerning your words, and behold, whatsoever the king says, that I will do. Look at Terach now. God putting that on his heart. But listen. And now, my Adonai and King, behold, I have made this thing known to you, and the advice which my king will give unto his servant, that will I follow. So he want to provoke thought about that horse. Because see, a child is worth more than a horse, right? See, he trying to save his boy. He trying to save his boy. Now look, verse 22. And the king heard the words of Terach, and his anger was kindled, and he considered him in the light of a fool. Like, how dare you ask me about that darn horse? And you like a horse for pay you money? I got you in command of my host. You ain't need no money. Check him out now. What you about to say? He said, Terach said, and he considered him in the light of a fool. And the king answered Terach, and he said to him, are you so silly and ignorant or deficient in understanding to do this thing, to give your beautiful horse for silver and gold, or even for straw and provender? But didn't he just tell him he gonna pay? Didn't Nimrod? See, people don't think we get it. All of us get ignorant. So that's how you know these are people, man. We do things out of ignorance sometimes when something touch us, right? Well, we can't get what we want. Listen. So he was ignorant. King didn't realize you just asked this man to bring his son to you, and you will pay him a price for him to kill his little boy that he just had now. And he telling you the situation about a horse, and you gonna consider him a fool, calling this man he's so ignorant and all that over a darn horse. I ain't making this stuff up, baby. I'm reading it. I can't make this up. Y'all, now y'all see how this Bible can be your bet. This is my book. I'm gonna put my book together. I'm gonna put all my books together and get these things together from the end and make it make sense. That's my purpose. That's my duty. Anyway, so listen, let's get back into these stories. This is better than TV. I don't watch TV. I got too much of these things. I got to get all this. Listen. So after he insulted Terah, right? Are you so foolish? Give your beautiful horse gold and silver. Verse 24. Are you so short of silver and gold? King still talking now, Nimrod. Are you so short of silver and gold that you should do this thing because you cannot obtain straw and provender to feed your horse? And what is silver and gold to you? See? So if you know that, why are you offering me for my boy? See, that what Terah trying to provoke his thought to think. Were you coming at me for my boy? Listen. What is silver and gold? Where I stop at now? I didn't get lost. Feed your horse. What is silver and gold to you? Or straw and provender, that you should give away that fine horse which I gave you, like which there is none to be had on the whole earth. Abraham was like none to be had. Look at his big star. Ain't see no other stars like that, right? See? Terah, why? Terah got some wisdom now, even though he operated in some error. He know right from wrong, even though he choose to do some wrong, as you're going to see. But listen, and the king left off speaking, and Terah answered the king, saying, like unto this has the king spoken to his servant. See, he telling him now that, okay, like unto that, the same thing you said to me. So what that make me? The same thing you just called me. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak, right? So that what the scriptures tell us, right? So that what Terah coming with it now. And so look, so he said, Terah said, like unto this has the king spoken to me. So he's saying, as you said the same thing to me, so that means you the same. So 26, verse 26, he said, I beseech you, my Adonai, meaning Lord and King, what is this which you did say unto me, saying, give your son that we may slay him? And I will give you silver and gold for his value. What shall I do with silver and gold after the death of my son? See, who shall inherit me? Surely then at my death the silver and gold will return to my king who gave it. And when the king heard the words of Terah and the parable which he brought concerning the king, it grieved him greatly, and he was vexed at this thing, and his anger burned within him. See, he got mad. People get mad when they hear the truth now. They get mad, and he giving it back to him. The same thing you telling me that by that horse. I'm telling you about my son, why he can't have his way. See, look, in verse 28, and Terah saw that the anger of the king was kindled against him, and he answered the king, saying, all that I have is in the king's power. See, he humbling himself now. Whatsoever the king desires to do to his servant, then let him do. Terah ain't had no backbone neither. Now he come with analogy and stuff, with that craftiness of the mind to try to get the king, to provoke the king to thought, but he still ain't really had no backbone as a man. He been too scary. And you understand? But then rightfully so, the king had power over him too, but still he did some things. Y'all will see later on. But and he turned on his own sons. But check this out. And he said, so whatsoever the king desires to do to his servant, that let him do. But he did protect Abram, though. We're going to get to that. Yet even my son, he is in the king's power, without value in exchange. Meaning, you ain't got to give me no money in exchange. You know he in your power. You know you're going to do what you want to do anyway. He and his two brothers that are older than he. And the king said to Terah, no, but I will purchase your younger son for a price. But you just told him not to purchase the horse. And Terah answered the king, saying, I beseech you, my Adonai, Lord and King, to let your servant speak a word before you, and let the king hear the word of his servant. And Terah said, Let my king give me 3 days' time till I consider this matter within myself and consult with my family concerning the words of my king. And he pressed the king greatly to agree to this. And the king gave him 3 days. Okay, before he had to deliver Abraham, he wanted to talk to his family, but he wanted to come up with a plan. Really, that's what I'm getting. And the king hearkened, meaning he listened to Terach, and he did so and gave him 3 days' time. And Terach went out from the king's presence, and he came home to his family and spoke to them all the words of the king. And the people were greatly afraid. And it was in the 3rd day that the king sent to Terach, saying, Send me your son for a price, as I spoke to you. And should you not do this, I will send and slay all you have in your house, so that you shall not even have a dog remaining. See? So he, the king, he was scared. He was scared. And verse 33, and Terach hastened. And this thing was urgent from the king. And he took a child from one of his servants, which his handmaid had born to him that day. So he took one of his other sons, where he slept with the handmaid. You know, back in the day, you could have, the wives gave you their concubines. So that ain't now. That ain't now. God knows some religion. God telling men you can have more than one wife. That back in the day. Back in the day. Every man should cleave to his own wife, and every woman should cleave to her own husband, and the two shall become one. Not the two shall become some, and bringing them outside spirits, and then have y'all all disordered. The two shall become one. You can't come one, baby, when you out there poking and sticking and doing all kind of multiples, and you bringing them spirit back to your wife, and then you will have her going crazy. That ain't God order. But this how it was back in these days, though. So Terah had a child from his handmaid, and he brought the baby, his son, from his handmaid, because Abram was special to him, right? That came from his wife that he married. And not only that, Abram had favor on his life. So it really was God protecting Abram, protecting him. So what Terah did was he took the son that were born to him, that had born to him that day, which his handmaid born to him that day. And Terah brought the child to the king and received value for him. And Yahuwah, God, was with Terah in this matter. And that night, see, Yahuwah was with Terah. See what I'm telling you? Because it was about protecting Abram. God was with us from the beginning. Remember I told y'all this morning how I was so excited. God was saying he always been there. He ain't never left us. I got to hurry up because this video about to stop. So we're going to stop at chapter 9, at verse, this chapter 8. And then we'll do chapter 9 another time or whatever, because I'm gonna take my time on all this. I ain't gonna rush none of it, baby. We're gonna get it out all the way to verse 13. But anyway, chapter 13. But anyway, and Yahuwah was with Terah in this matter. So God was with him, that Nimrod might not cause Abram's death. See? And the king took the child, from Terah, and with all his might dashed his head to the ground. Oh Lord, have mercy. He took that innocent baby. As soon as Terah gave him the baby, he just took the baby and dashed his head down. No heart, because he thought his destiny. He knew his destiny, but he thought it was Abraham. But because of his destiny, he was trying to kill him. So people